This episode of the CoinSpice podcast is brought to you by Cash Shuffle, because what you do with your money is your business. To give this new product a try for fungibility and privacy, head on over to electroncash.org, download their latest wallet 4.0.0, and give it a spin. CashShuffle.com for more information, because what you do with your money is your business.
What is really going on, crypto savages? You are listening to the CoinSpice podcast with host C. Edward Kelso, editor-in-chief at CoinSpice.io, your home for spicy crypto things on the net.
What is really going on, crypto savages? This is your host, C. Edward Kelso, editor-in-chief out at CoinSpice.io, back with another episode of the CoinSpice podcast. And this time around, I've got two guests. Vin Armani of CoinText, Peter Ryan of Rizky Presents Blockchain. Why are you into crypto? Is it for the technology? Is it for the speculation? Is it for uprooting the legacy financial system? Is it for banking the unbanked? Is it for potentially, file storage systems, be it online streaming or social media? Or is it all of it? It's a really interesting time for the Bitcoin Cash community in particular. And frankly, it's a broader debate that crypto has had really since its inception. So people started, interacting with the tech. And Vin Armani more recently challenged the Bitcoin Cash community in the sense that we were, I guess, a lot of us were cheering the file storage idea that had actually finally come to Bitcoin Cash. And Vin, I wouldn't say scolded, but he offered a slight pushback on the idea, and is trying to sort of single-handedly refocus the Bitcoin Cash community in a sense. And I'll let him make his own case. But I was struck by his comments. And if you know Vin at all, he's a very sober guy. He's a very thoughtful guy. And he's known in our community as Vinstradamus. He has a tendency to call things way ahead of others. And he finds something about this troubling. And again, you'll hear about why in the episode. And Peter Ryan isn't necessarily opposed to anything that Vin has to say or even his concerns, but Peter asked the right questions, and Peter seems to be able to steel man sort of the more ecumenical, the broader Bitcoin Cash idea that it can do all these things and be peer-to-peer cash very well. So I like their interaction. I like the way they talk to each other, and they're admirers of one another. So this was a good chance to get them on and talking, and give you a sense of what movers and shakers in the space are actually talking about, what especially developers are concerned with. So without any further ado, here is Vin Armani and Peter Ryan discussing the issue of what the point of crypto in general, Bitcoin Cash in particular,
this is a first
is.
In the sense that I now have two returning guests, and it's kind of serendipitous in the sense that Vin was my first guest way back when for the podcast, and Peter was the most recent guest, and now I have them back both on as returning guests for the first time. So do the math. Anyway, it's really nice. Let's start off first with Vin. Vin, thanks so much for coming on, man. Really appreciate it. And why don't you tell the folks, in case they don't know, a little about yourself?
All right, so my name is Vin Armani. I'm the Chief Technology Officer of CoinText.io. And, avid Bitcoiner, been involved since 2012 and started developing in 2014. Just kind of on the side while I was on a TV show. And then since 2017, really, I've been going, this has been what I do. So So yeah, Cointext.io. It's a full-featured SMS wallet, probably the easiest way to onboard people to cryptocurrency that exists. So we're in 42 countries. Go and check it out. We'd love to have you on board and onboarding other people. So.
And Peter Ryan, why don't you go ahead and let the folks know who you are?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Peter Ryan. I'm the executive producer of Risky Presents Blockchain. It's a new documentary series on Amazon Prime, which focuses on exploring different topics in the cryptocurrency sector. And it's a great way to introduce a lot of these heady topics to, people that are always asking you about what is Bitcoin, what is blockchain, what can it be used for? And so this series gives a great explanation and also, a window into the lives of some of these business leaders in the space that are building the applications and pushing the technology forward.
And in a lot of ways that we were just discussing it actually between ourselves before we started recording, Risky Presents Blockchain is you're saying may head into the quasi debate or discussion we're going to have today. Vin, you actually a fan of the documentary from what you said, right?
Yeah, no, I really like it, and I have to say that I am. I guess we're going to talk about this Bitcoin or blockchain. I think Andreas Antonopoulos was the first person to kind of really start addressing this a few years ago. Yeah. I'm honestly, when it comes to using the blockchain for things other than peer-to-peer digital cash, I'm actually pretty ambivalent about it. But I know that it is an ongoing debate. But I think that there's some nuance that I hope that we can flesh out here, because I know even as this was precipitated by a little Twitter thread that was pretty interesting that Peter and I had. But I think that it's I don't know. There's a lot of I hate using the term misunderstanding because it's just overused in this space. But I feel like there's some nuance that if we could expose it, that people would have a much better overall grasp on the issue.
Let's sort of steel man the issue first from, say, the blockupload.io perspective, assuming that it is one, in the sense that it has enabled people to share larger files onto the BCH chain, and that it's been uncontroversial really until I saw and it was a very calm, cool, collected thread. A little pushback from Vin, but let's have Peter just a little bit. I put him in the totally fake position me, putting him of pro storage in this particular sense. But I think Peter's a really nice not advocate, but he's good at steel manning arguments. And so, Peter, can you kind of give us sort of I'll just kind of roll it back a second. I was telling Vin that I actually got feedback from a number of people. I hadn't seen the Twitter thread that you guys were having a conversation. I said, hey, you guys should really cover that and talk about that. And I went on Reddit and I was like, okay. So, Peter, why do you think some folks are excited about say more than just the medium of exchange, the merchant adoption side of the argument? Why do you think people are excited about say putting files onto the BCH chain?
Sure. And just to start off, similar to Vin, I'm a bit ambivalent on the notion, and I think that it's also helpful to think about the exact prompt that we're trying to debate or that we're trying to find an answer to. And I think that's mainly, should this be for BCH? And then I think there's another side prompt here that is also, should file storage occur using blockchain technology in general? And should that occur maybe in a different coin community? And so to then just steel man the argument, whether it's BCH or a different blockchain, it's that how Bitcoin was invented, the killer app was money, lot of the talking points, a lot of the effort went into making that use case as primary as possible. But then as, more talking occurred, some nuance came about of, well, is it just about money, or is money just one use case here that we can expand? And it's really about this time stamping. It's really about this ability to have a ledger, to have some sort of database that is not censorable and that utilizes the incentive system of proof of work mining to make sure that this content will always be pushed through and exist within a blockchain.
Right, and we're seeing not just files now, but a more high-profile, I guess, iteration on this idea came from PewDiePie moving over to a blockchain for live streaming. And so I think a lot of us in the Bitcoin Cash community are excited about sort of larger blocks and doing more with the sort of the blockchain idea. And there's also just non-stop mainstream press coverage about blockchain this and blockchain that and blockchain this and blockchain that. Very little, almost no talk in the mainstream press about its medium of exchange, ideas. So I think a lot of us are kind of like, well, if this is something we can, encourage people to do and get excited about, and this brings people over to Bitcoin Cash, all the better. Is that about right, Peter? Does that sum up the argument, or am I missing something?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a certain element there with the PewDiePie story that, regardless if that is the correct usage of this type of technology, like just maybe Trojan horsing our way into mass adoption through like getting a PewDiePie level celebrity to promote, our particular coin or blockchain out, like, whether they're using it as we see they should, that's sort of like a win in and of itself. So aside from him just being like a promoter, is the vision of, throwing live streams and videos on a blockchain something that should be seen as valuable? It's definitely sort of a matter of what your priority is, and what probably a lot of people on the side that, all data should be uploaded, and, we're going to have these big blocks, so we might as well fill them with, things that we would want to exist there. And as long as you are paying the transaction fee for that content to get uploaded, then there's no problem. And then, to fully Iron Man this opposing side, they would say the people that are trying to claim the only use case is money, they're basically using the BTC, stigma of spam, that, this is just spam that's coming about, and, we can't have this. But then on the other side, they would say, as long as we're paying the transaction fee, then it's not spam.
Yeah, sort of that's right. The means to an end idea. So Vin comes along and rains on our parade. We're all rejoicing and kumbayaing over here, and then Mr. Brainiac comes up onto Twitter and pours a little bit of sobriety on it. Vin, you're not. I wouldn't say you're against the idea so much as you are that we're sort of. I'm thinking, I have so many cliches running through my head. Getting over our skis, cart before the horse, that kind of idea that maybe this is not the right way to look at the, let's focus in on the Bitcoin Cash project, right?
Well, okay, so maybe I can get into some of the subtlety here, because it's one of the things that makes Bitcoin different than virtually any other sort of software project that has come along and has garnered a community around it, is here you have an open source software project where there is a broad community of people involved, but there are others that have broad communities of people involved. I mean, Linux has Android. These have broad communities of people involved where people who are actually developing are communicating. The difference with Bitcoin is, we developers are inside of a community where we are a tiny, tiny percentage of the people in the community. So much so that we really, although many developers have outsized sort of influence within the community, some of the most influential people in the community are not contributing code and are not coding and do not have projects going on. There was some weird Bitcoin conference that just happened this week where they had done some like Game of Thrones thing where it was like you saw that, right? Tone Vase and Adam Back and Giacomo Zucco, who were up there on this big thing. It was called Understanding Bitcoin, I think. Now, two of those guys, I know Giacomo can code, or at least I think he can code. I don't know what he's done in terms of software projects. So you had 2 out of 3 of these people that are being presented as these huge influencers of BTC who are more pundits than anything else. Now, nothing wrong with that. But what's different is in the Linux community, when you have issues that are coming up and you have people who are saying, oh, this is the direction that it should go, this is the direction that it should go. These are people who are developing. Those conversations are happening among developers who are actually developing on the platform. And they're getting signals from other developers. These are people who are dealing with the product at a code level. Now, I'm not saying that we should not be having the community that we do. I'm not saying that everybody shouldn't have their opinion. I think they should. But what we have to realize is that in doing that at the end of the day, developers are people too. We want to be a part of this community too. We're looking for signals of how we should be spending our time. Not just from a standpoint of social acceptance, because open source developers, Eric S. Raymond wrote a great book about this in the 90s called The Cathedral and the Bazaar, where he says, if you want to know what motivates and incentivizes open source developers, like why on earth would somebody be contributing code for free? It's social credibility. It's social cred. It's a feeling of getting meaning in your life and of value. And so when you're in a community and people are around you and you're on Twitter and wow, look, here I am. I'm just a software guy. And before this, nobody cared what I thought. But here I start in this Bitcoin community and I've got this little app that I did, and look, all these people love it, and now I've got tens of thousands of followers, or at least thousands of followers. I got people telling me that I'm a genius, that they love using my stuff. Oh, wow, I'm going to keep doing that, the social reinforcement. And we see this, and this is the reason why I brought this up, and I specifically mentioned this in relationship to BSV, because they've decided that they're going to go down the let's put the files on. And it's the thing is it's very seductive from a developer standpoint. And the reason why it's seductive is because it's a purely technical problem. It's an easy win. It's something that we know that they love to upload photos. We know people love to upload photos. And so here we've got it like people using your product, uploading the photos, telling you you're a genius. Well, where do you spend your time? And so really what we have to understand is that Bitcoin is people. It's a community. Yes, it's a technology, but it's money. And at the end of the day, money is a mutual hallucination that we all have. It's us all agreeing that something is valuable that is not necessarily otherwise valuable if we don't all agree that it is. So it's the community and it's the people. It's a sociological issue. And so my issue with this whole thing is basically this. I look out, and it's not like this is new that I've said this. People can go back through my Twitter feed, and I've said things like, I signed up for peer-to-peer digital cash. You can tokenize every atom in the universe. That's fine, but I signed up for peer-to-peer digital cash. Like I've said this over and over and over. This is not new for me. And the reason why is there's a destination. It's out there. It's like you put in a destination in your Google Maps, right? And it shows you the shortest route. Now, there's all these other routes that you could take, and it's like 15 minutes slower, 25 minutes slower, 30 minutes slower. It's not to say that there's not unlimited routes that you could take to get to this destination.
Hey, Crypto Savages, this is C. Edward Kelso breaking in with a quick and very shameless plug. CoinSpice.io is a feisty pirate ship. We rely on almost entirely organic growth, which means our audience really does the marketing for us, and there's nothing more powerful than word of mouth. If you read an article you like on CoinSpice.io, if you listen to a podcast and you enjoy the content, or if you're just pissed, please promote us on social media, wherever you're at, wherever that is, whether it's Reddit, whether it's YouTube, the Telegram, you name it, Twitter. Like us, retweet, all that great stuff. You can always find detailed show notes for every podcast on the corresponding page at coinspice.io. There you'll find links to our respective podcasts, your favorite platform like iTunes. Please give us a rating. Please give us a subscribe. You know, all that good stuff. It helps the pirate ship remain afloat. It keeps us going. We appreciate it. As always, you can contact me personally if you have questions, concerns, you want to hear from a particular guest, you have a news tip at Kelso, K-E-L-S as in Sam O, at coinspice.io. Thanks again for listening. We sure do appreciate it. And back to the episode.
But if you've laid out the destination, here's the way to get there fast. And we have such limited developer resources, especially at the application level, which is where this is taking place. Like, there are not just reams and reams of good apps coming out. There aren't. And in terms of time, I mean, most of the people who can develop applications on Bitcoin have full-time jobs doing that.
Yeah.
If you can do that, you're either working for an exchange or one of the wallet companies or something like that. So really what we're talking about is it's going to need to be some new product that's going to disrupt and that's going to move this. We keep needing disruptive products. And there's so little time, so little bandwidth that's available for people who actually can develop the product and who have a desire to be innovating. There's so few people. And so if we keep giving all of these detours to them, and saying, oh, look, shiny thing over here. Oh, stop in at the bar over here. Oh, do this over here. We're not going to get to our destination.
Yeah, so, a lot of that resonated with me. And to chime in there, we're raising this up to the level of we're talking about the human element. We're talking about the destination we want to go. And, why we're all in this crypto world is because we see there is a form of injustice that is out there. We do not like the current monetary system. We do not like, the downstream controls that are also there of people being able to censor transactions, which is definitely something that is a visceral attraction to early adopters at this stage, and to really help us move to the mass adoption threshold. And so under that value prop of censorship resistant and, going out and helping those in need that are getting barred from traditional finance by giving them this uncensorable form of money, by the same token, maybe are we not talking about like any video under the sun? We're talking about cat videos, because this is often when I see sort of the arguments go back and forth. It seems like the only, when we're talking about data, the only argument there is that every video, every audio file, every picture is going to be uploaded. But let's get back to the idea of like, we're helping people that are getting censored, especially with money, take power back. So in a similar way, what if there's content out there that's getting censored all over the place, yet using a blockchain is a way to make sure that content is out there and that it does not get deleted from the ether?
I mean, I think look, I'm not saying that it isn't valid. And I also want to make it very, very clear that when we use terms like what somebody should use a blockchain for, I don't ascribe to that. So it's about what am I trying to do? What do I find to be valuable? And what do I want to spend my time doing? And I think that everybody should be thinking that, and then should pick their community accordingly. So there are obviously tons of people out there, well, tons relatively, but there are a significant number of people, very intelligent people who, like, I think are really amazing in sort of the decentralized and distributed space. People like Juan Bennett, who's the inventor of IPFS and Filecoin, and is building that out, which he built exactly for that reason that you just said. And then you've got like Storage, you've got Steam. I mean, these are platforms that people have dedicated tons of time to that I think are incredibly cool, and that I'm glad that they're working on them, because I think that it's something that needs to be worked on. Just for me, it's not the thing that I wake up in the morning and I'm like, yes, I want to do this. It's not the thing where, I mean, look, we're in Bitcoin, and whether people like it or not, you look at, take Ross Ulbricht as an example. It's like people who have threatened the monetary paradigm with Bitcoin, things have not wound up great for them. And so all of us who are developers who are pushing this forward, we put ourselves out on the line. A company like mine, CoinText, I mean, we're in 42 countries. Yeah, we have a good legal team. Yeah, we're sure that we're as good as we could be within regulatory frameworks. But the risk, we're out there, and the risk is always out there that we could run afoul of some state's laws, and then we have to deal with that. And so I don't wake up in the morning, I don't go through what it is that I go through, and other people. I mean, there are BCH developers of ABC. We're talking about Shama Chancellor, we're talking about Amari Sachet, and Jason Cox. Those guys are fighting a lawsuit right now.
That's right.
That was brought against them. That's going to cost them potentially hundreds. I had our counsel talk with them, and he was even saying this could potentially, even if it's dropped, cost over $100,000 to defend yourself. Now, we don't go through this so that somebody can store their videos online. Now, maybe there's somebody out there who thinks that that is worth it, but for me, it's not. For me, what's worth it is looking around the world and seeing that really, as you say, it's because of a broken financial system that so much pain is in this world. And that fixing that even a little bit can alleviate some human suffering. That makes it worth it. That makes it worth it. And that's the destination I want to go toward. And so it's like, look, if there are people who want to, put things up on BCH and do all of that, I can't stop them. No one can stop them. I don't think they should be stopped. I don't think code should be added at a protocol level to prevent it. I think that they should, if they want to do it, they should be able to do it. But I think that those of us who do value peer-to-peer cash, and who do value it for reasons that maybe some people have lost sight of, that we need to speak out about it. And that may just mean discouraging going off on some side path towards storage or even tokenization. That's coming on BCH, and I'm going to say the same thing. This is my principle. Like, I think SLP tokens are great. I was one of the early people to read the white paper. Jonald gave it to me, and I thought that they were great from the beginning. I don't think that it should be a focus. I know that it's about to be a focus. It may end up that there's a split over it. Fine. But the thing is, peer-to-peer cash is what I do this for. Doesn't have to be for everybody, but put whatever skin in the game you want to put in the game. But I wouldn't do that for SLP tokens, and I'm sure as hell not going to do that for cat videos.
Right, and you were talking. You entered into the discussion. I thought was really interesting. There's a kind of a quip about writing, and someone who has a giant novel say to write, and the basic paraphrase is, "My house is never so clean as to when I have to write sit down and do the work." And peer-to-peer cash, it's something that especially in BCH we've been talking about now for a while, but it's hard. Like it's really, really, really difficult. And if you just extend block size and start throwing stuff up there, and using the sexiness of someone like a PewDiePie or whomever else, or kind of a play on Instagram or whatever, I think it draws people away, and I think you're saying in a limited environment, in a niche within a niche within a niche, that you're not saying someone should be forbidden or anything. You're just saying like the emphasis needs to we're losing our fastball, right?
It depends on where you want to go. That's all I'm saying. I'm like, where do you want to go and how fast do you want to get there, right? People have to make that decision. Do you want to get there as quickly as possible? I do. That's where I'm speaking from. I would like to get there so that I can see at least some of it while I'm still alive. I know that this is a multi-generational project, and I'm willing to put in my entire rest of my working life into this project, but I would like to see some of it before I die.
And how many projects that are actually out there, say in the top 10? I'll just go by market cap for no other reason than I can. How many projects are really actually focused on peer-to-peer digital cash in the open source sense, without a strict kind of top-down governance model that's kind of based on Bitcoin from the beginning? I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, and so if this project can't focus, then that's going to be an issue, maybe.
Well, I mean, there's always forks, but you know what? A fork is nothing but a distraction as well. And so it's like, how fast do you want to get there, and where do you want to go? That's the question. That's it. And people have to decide that. Again, people have to decide that for themselves. That's where I'm being misunderstood on this, and I wish that I wasn't, because people are like, oh, Vin, you're trying to say that people shouldn't do this, or you're trying to prevent people from doing this. And I'm like, no, dude. You've got to make up your mind. It's not that easy. I'm not going to give you that out. You've got to make up your mind of where you want this to go and who you want to be and what you want to spend your time in this community doing. And then you've got to pick your community accordingly. That's it.
Whether it was in the exact thread that we were discussing, or maybe this was another thread or Reddit post that I was looking at, one of the BCH developers, I forget who, they said something to the degree of, this isn't me commanding, or this isn't me setting down a dictate of what should be done. This is just basically me saying, this is my 1-star review of this strategy of pursuing with BCH. And I think that's sort of the way that you're describing your opinion on the matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, honestly, that's the only workable opinion in Bitcoin. It's permissionless. Yeah, even if you wanted to stop somebody, you can. I mean, well, there is a way to stop them, and that would be to get a bunch of hash power, do a fork to where you're the only miner and the only one in control of development of the protocol, and then you start uploading files.
We start all over again. Gee whiz. I just had my whole life flashed before my eyes. In any case, well, so let's end on a kind of a, because I think you framed it, you both have very, very, very well. On the P2P side, then it's there may be a tendency, well, geez, these guys are ignoring a lot that's actually happening on the P2P side. There's actually quite a bit going on with Bitcoin Cash and making it conducive and optimal for digital cash. I can think right away of Cash Shuffle, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Cash Shuffle's great. I think Badger Wallet is absolutely one of the things that I think is the most interesting and could potentially be hyper disruptive. You could have a whole ecosystem of with that Chrome plugin. That's fantastic. Neutrino Wallet that the BCHD guys put up is dope as well. Doing a real SPV wallet. I mean, there's SLP tokens. Like I say, I don't think it should be a focus, but I think that it's definitely something that should be there. Again, now I'm even saying it. I think it's something that will bring people to BCH for sure. Will they stick around for the peer-to-peer cash, or do we get mission creep of, let me make another token and another token and another token, and then do we have the people who were previously out there doing the cash, now are they hawking tokens? I don't know. I think it's a possibility. but it's definitely it's good technology, and it's a use of the ledger that I think has some potential, and maybe even some potential as cash. Like the fact that you can burn the tokens completely. Certainly, you could use it as means of exchange. You can use them as, like, tickets or rewards coupons or things like that, and that's kind of like cash. So it's something definitely to see. But again, I think it seems to be distracting a lot of good devs, even that. So in that way, I guess I'm a purist. I just want to get there. I'm a little impatient.
We have a very active guy who helped start, or I think he actually did start, the subreddit RBTC. We call him Super Nerd. And he just, every time we get to talking about these subjects or whatever, he just comes in, look, peer-to-peer cash is enough to change the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like no mouse, like you don't need to do anything more. Let's just hang with the peer-to-peer cash side. Let's solve that one first, fellas.
It's hard, and there, even me. Look. I'll be honest. When was the last time I walked into a store and asked them if they took Bitcoin? I'll pull out my BitPay card and use that, but it's like those hardcore individuals that are onboarding merchants that are actually out there doing the legwork. That's doing a sales job. That evangelism is like, those are the greatest folks, and it's hard.
Shout out to biz devs.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're badass. Akane.
Those are the real heroes of this whole situation, and yeah, I would hate to see even them get distracted by shiny things. So, like I say, we've just got such limited resources. And we probably will always have limited resources. By the time that the resources are really, really available, well, then we're already there. So for now, it's about passion. And I'd just like to see people as passionate about peer-to-peer cash or more passionate about it than anything else.
Eyes on the prize. I think it was a fantastic discussion. I really appreciate both of you coming on and talking about this. It's a debate that we're going to continue to have. I know we will, but it's good-natured. It's, a lot of people are I think Vin kind of sort of rekindled, my focus on it, on the P2P aspect, because I was doing a little cheerleading on my personal life, and I was like, wait a second. So it's good to kind of, be brought back to sort of the eye on the prize aspect of it. Let's go ahead and Peter Ryan, where can people find your work if they want to follow you?
Sure. I post pretty much everything under my Twitter @_Peter Ryan. You can also go find my documentary, Risky Presents Blockchain. Just type that in on Amazon. You'll find it right away. Or you can just check out the hashtag Risky Presents Blockchain on Twitter, and you can find clips and all sorts of links to different content there, as well as we released the first episode for free on the CoinSpice YouTube channel. So you can just head over there to get your first taste, and then head over to Amazon to finish off the season.
Boom. And Vin, where can people follow your work?
Oh, just cointext.io to onboard yourself with our wallet, and of course Twitter @Vin Armani is probably the most active channel for me. So I'm on there all the time.
And I think we're all better for it, really, to hear these different voices and people coming out. And I love the tone of the debate, the tenor of the debate. I mean, there's always some stragglers that get in there, but I've really, really liked it, and I've enjoyed the discussion. I certainly learned a lot. So thanks, fellas, very much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.